Hello YouTubies, this is Freddy Hotes and thank you for watching this YouTube video. I want to talk about smear campaigns, right? I don't know anybody on earth who hasn't had anybody talk behind their back and try to stir some shit about them. I can't name a single person who hasn't had that done to them. So it is very common. It's more common than it should be. And I'm surprised that people actually fall for this tactic over and over and over again. We're seeing quite a lot of it actually, because, you know, even my good self, I've had smear campaigns done against me. Would you believe that? You know, saying some nasty things about myself, that I was writing some nasty things about a disabled woman online and stuff like that. And people, you know, were just believing what these people were saying. They were saying, yeah, that's him. And when you actually look around, this is the crazy thing. You realise that the account that was actually doing that was somebody else. So, you know, using a similar name. So people actually do believe these smear campaigns quite a lot. But you know, even in your personal life, you know, you'll be doing something, you'll be trying to get on with people, and then somebody will say, that guy over there, a bit lazy, but he's all right. And that's the beginning of it. You know, that most people don't realise that people say things like that, little negative remarks about somebody, and then people build an image inside their head saying, that guy, I fucking hate him. You know, because of the mass psychosis that sometimes develops with these people. They begin to hate people that they've heard negative remarks. If you hear anything about somebody else that's negative, never take it as face value. Don't just believe what other people tell you, because there's always some type of agenda that this person has. I mean, they're saying something negative about somebody else. Why would they do that in the first place? Why would you say that somebody's lazy? I mean, that's very negative. Why would you say somebody is a bit gross or something, or somebody's naughty or just a bit of a dick, but he's okay? I mean, you can't really just back something up by saying that guy over there's a racist or something, but he's alright. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but this is what these people do. This is what highly manipulative people do. And over time, you know, this little negative remarks about somebody, it builds up into a negative image in other people's heads. And it shouldn't happen. People shouldn't do this. You hear it in relationships saying, you know, the man, no, he never does anything. And the person's already built in their head that the man's a lazy, no good, badass, nasty person, and there could be nothing wrong with it, the person. It could just be that person's had a bad day or something, spreading a rumour or something. It could be a psycho who's actually trying to smear that person's name so that they get all the glory or something. But you should never believe what you hear about somebody else. You shouldn't take it as face value. And I say this time and time again, but I'm seeing it all the bloody time. And it's a shame. I mean, there are ways to actually fight smear campaigns nowadays. In fact, I think if more people actually knew about them, they'll have less effect. The effect that a smear campaign has is more down to not the person spreading it, but the people who believe it. And these people, they twist it and they start treating that person in contempt. It can happen over years. Somebody can just say something about you now and again. And after a few years, people have this negative opinion about you already, and then they can make up a big flat out fucking lie about you, and you'll come into an office building or come into a club that you're a member of, and people will treat you with contempt, and you'll wonder why. Well, the likelihood is that somebody has been nattering behind your back, calling you all sorts of things, stating things. Some of it might be half-truths, and then people take it out of context, believe all the negative remarks they heard before, and putting it all together in a jigsaw puzzle that's totally fucked up. And then believing this negative thing as if you have been the damage in their lives that's not been fulfilled. This is a shame, because, you know, people have to grow up at some point. People have to grow up and stop believing in this sort of garbage. I don't want to see, you know, innocent people smeared for no reason. I don't like seeing people being pushed down into, you know, the ground and then beaten senseless, and then you know, it's mainly by the psychotic masses who just believe anything they hear. If you ever hear somebody saying, "Oh, my husband's a lazy git" or something, don't believe them. Don't automatically believe that. Or if somebody says, that guy over there, he's a bit of a dick, but he's all right. But don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. You're being gaslighted immediately. Somebody's smearing that person's name because you don't say a negative thing and a positive thing at the same time to try to equalize it and neutralize it somehow. Now, certain people are aware of this sort of thing because, certain people say, oh, you're just fucking lying. Your ass off there, mate. You're just trying to, shit stir a little bit. People do actually realize sometimes what's going on, but not everybody can spot it. It's usually very streetwise people who are aware of things like this. So be very careful with how you approach things like this, because you don't want to start hating on somebody because of what you heard somebody else said. I mean, I've done this in the past myself accidentally. I've taken something that somebody said as face value, and it's been somebody who I originally got on with. And then over time I realised that, the guy's actually okay. I don't get it why people have actually been saying this sort of stuff. And I realised that one of the cunts in the office was actually spreading these malicious rumours so that he could get the fucking promotion. And this is how this sort of thing works. So you gotta be very careful with what you believe. I've heard, sometimes people actually fall out of friendship with other people. But let's say, for instance, Matrix Lord 212 on YouTube. He's actually said I could actually mention his name in relation to this as well, because I wanted to make some more videos about it. He was forever doing videos with other people, putting in his time and effort. And nobody's perfect, alright? And you shouldn't take what I'm saying as face values anyway. If I'm saying nobody's perfect, that could be very negative. People say, oh yeah, this person's not perfect, this person's a cunt. This is how they actually think. No, when I mean nobody's perfect, people do actually do imperfect things. So people may not host the conference or whatever the way people like. But from what I can see throughout all of his, conferences, on Skype, etc., he's given people the time of day. He's actually given people the right to speak, to come on his channel and have a word and natter about Doctor Who. Of course, nobody's perfect at it. I couldn't do it. I'm just too much of a muppet to do it. But he's actually given a lot of time to these people, and then these people just turn against him. I don't get that, because of what somebody else somewhere out there on YouTube has said about him somewhere else, creating this sort of a smear campaign. And it is a smear campaign, because a smear campaign is when you actually smear somebody's name to try to damage their name to promote yourself or for some other agenda. And I don't get it. I don't understand how this sort of thing can happen, but it does. People do just turn against this person and start believing what other people say. And the worst thing is, these smearers, they tend to come across as being the most nicest people you will ever meet in your life. All right, nothing bad can be said about them, because they're the ones who are actually setting it off. But for instance, with Matrix Lord 212, you could just say, he never gives anybody a chance to speak, or something like that, or he's a bit cocky now and again, him. And you'll see these this is how smear manipulators work. They'll say these negative things over a long period of time. Psychopaths and narcissists do this, by the way. And everybody will eventually have this negative opinion about this person, forgetting about all the good things this person has done. I'm sticking up for him because I think he's done some really good things. I even stick up for the people who have been smearing them. In a way, I think society has to grow up at some point. It has to grow up. It has to start evolving a bit and stop believing what other people say about other people. If you hear something about me saying I'm a troll or something, have you actually ever seen me go around trolling people nastily on YouTube? And the answer is no, you haven't. You're seeing a couple of porn reviews, and you see me one occasion. I was taking a piss out of AS 2009 years ago, and he turns out to be somebody who was molesting children, which is what the BBC said themselves. So I go away with that, I suppose. But you should never take my word for things. I could say some nasty things about somebody and not mean it to be a smear, but then people start believing it in a negative light. I'll stick up for people when I believe they're being smeared, because I think it's a big problem in society nowadays, and something needs to be done about it. Because as soon as we get these smear campaigns to stop, the better society will be. It is a problem. It's getting worse, and it's from school. Primary school, kids excluding other kids by saying nattering things behind their backs, or other people turn against them. It goes into high school, it goes into college, then university, then the office, then politics. It's across the fucking board, and something has to be done about it. Now, I'm saying now that, the public needs to be made aware of what smear campaigning actually is, so they can stop believing what other people are saying. The first thing is, when you start treating people really badly, with contempt, who you don't know, who you know nothing about, who you've only had good experience with, maybe you've had a few negative experiences with them, but you treat them with contempt based on something that somebody else has said, there is a problem, alright? And your own negativity affects that person, and in general it affects society itself. It makes society a nasty place to live, and you are victimizing other people by believing in this shit. Never take things for face value. Never believe this sort of stuff automatically. In fact, until you've dealt with somebody on a one-to-one basis, use that about them. Of course, use your intuition. If you believe that somebody you're hanging around with is probably a serial killer, they're just not trustworthy, or they're trying to kidnap you or something, then you can use your intuition. But don't believe what somebody else has said about somebody else. I mean, recently I heard even my girlfriend, when she came home and said that something was going on in the office, and somebody like Joe or something, who I know, she said something about him, and I said, well, whatever. I'm not really taking her word for it, because it could have been based on what somebody else has told her, or she could just be flat out lying because she's had problems somewhere else, and I don't know about. Maybe Joe has been banging my girlfriend in the office. I don't think so, but he is a bit old for that. I'm just saying, people natter behind people's backs, and people build these false assumptions about other people, but I'm not going to take that for face value. I'm not going to believe everything I hear. In fact, when anybody tells me about somebody else which is negative, I'll use my own intuition and work out whether that's even, I should even bother listening to that in the first place. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye for now. See you later. Goodbye.